What's going on, everybody? Super Saiyan Paul here, back at it once again. Today we're going to be doing another discussion about Dragon Ball Super and its flaws. Now guys, just a disclaimer here, I actually love Dragon Ball Super. I love that we have a new series, but with everything there is a few flaws in this one and a lot of things that it lives in the shadow of. A lot of people are debating, will it be better than Dragon Ball Z? And that's a lot of things that people were thinking about before the series even came out. Will you be able to surpass Dragon Ball Z with a new series? We saw what they did with GT and that flopped. Dragon Ball Super is going in the direction where it's basically correcting everything that was wrong with GT and making it proper. This is why I love Dragon Ball Super. The only flaws that I can probably think of right now is that, one, for the number one reason why I actually stopped watching a couple of episodes too is because it lives in the shadows of the movies that already came out so far. I know it has to catch up with what already came out with Battle of Gods and Resurrection F. However, I just don't feel like it's really any value of me or my time to watch some of these episodes because it's basically the same story so far, besides the small bits and pieces of where they're training with Whis that we haven't seen. It's basically everything recycled, with slight changes that don't really affect the story at all, and we're seeing it with, they're doing a really good job with the animation for a series, but compared to the movie, you will never get something of that quality because the budget is just way out there. So that's why I'd rather have watched, instead of watching the Frieza arc in Super, I'd rather watch Resurrection F because everything is there, like that movie quality animation. There's some movements that you're never going to see in television. You see a lot of 3D effects and all that stuff you're not going to get in the show. Another thing is Dragon Ball Z was a bit darker than Dragon Ball Super. A lot of people say, oh, Dragon Ball Z was a lighthearted show and everything. There were moments where it got pretty damn dark. I mean, Dragon Ball Super, I love, this is what I actually wanted this from another series because Dragon Ball Super kind of reminds me, in terms of happiness, it reaches that point of that Dragon Ball Z episode, the driving episode, where it's just a lot of fun and stuff like that. That's why I like the color scheme and everything for that reason. I wish Dragon Ball Z Kai was made in Dragon Ball Super's animation level and not in that old looking weird thing like the Dragon Ball Z Budokai game intros. That's the type of animation I wanted from Kai, but I digress here. Dragon Ball Z was darker in a lot of aspects, and one of the most scarring things for me from Dragon Ball Z was that moment where Gohan was getting stabbed on stage. That one really got me a lot. Like when Yamu and Spopovich attacked him, Spopovich, they basically drained his energy in front of everyone, and that moment really caught me as a kid. I was like 7 or 8 years old, and that moment, I doubt that amount of fear is going to be recreated because I'm a lot older now, but you're not going to see somebody getting stabbed like that and screaming to the top of their lungs. Another moment is when Videl is getting the shit absolutely beat out of her. You wouldn't probably see that at all nowadays because of all the new types of laws you see on TV and all this stuff and all these reactions, because now we have social media and all these outrages like, oh my god, this brolic ass steroid user is basically beating the shit out of a girl here. You're not going to see that. We're also not going to be seeing any of Vegeta's speeches because it seems like they've actually nerfed him in a way. His dark form, like when he was having that midlife crisis in Majin Vegeta's form, that one was one of the best moments for speeches from Vegeta. I think that was the ultimate arc for him, and yes, he's getting stronger now, but it seems like now that he's a good guy, he's been a lot more quiet. He hasn't been talking as much, and if they change this in Dragon Ball Super, I'll be so happy because he's just like more, I'm going to surpass Kakarot, I'm going to stay quiet, and I'm going to just work, but we haven't seen that completely come into fruition. I want to see him talk shit to Beerus, actually. He's been way too quiet of a character when it comes to strength, and yeah, he's been acting a little bit more goofy. We're not going to see any of those speeches where he just wants revenge. I don't know. Another thing, the biggest thing that Dragon Ball Z has over Dragon Ball Super is the fact that we have nostalgia with this show. Like, a lot of us grew up with this show. The first moment I can probably remember back in the day was like when I was 3 or 4 years old, and it was either one of these two moments in Dragon Ball Z. It was Android 16 getting his head stomped in, or it was Trunks powering up to fight Cell. I think it was definitely Trunks being one of the first characters I ever saw. But with that, nostalgia really adds a lot to Dragon Ball Z. When you start up one of those older videos, you can still see the animation quality holding its own to today. And it's what boosted like this gateway of anime viewers into watching other animes. And it was the gateway drug basically for everyone. And you're not going to have that with Dragon Ball Super because most of the people that are watching it now are already introduced to other animes, or it's most of us that have already grown up, but it's thanks to Dragon Ball Z that opened the gate to all these other animes that a lot of people watch, and it's not going to have the same effect that Dragon Ball Z did. Those are the only few flaws that I have right now, but as soon as they get out of these arcs that the movie already covered, if they change it and make Vegeta a little bit more talkative while he's in that beast mode of Super Saiyan God, which we'll probably most likely see, they'll fix that. In terms of darkness, I want to see more people die or something like that, because Dragon Ball Z, it happened a lot and people stay dead for a while. Goku stayed dead for 7 years at one point. They've seemed like they've reached a point where it's too overpowered, and even these new Dragon Balls, the Super Dragon Balls that are the size of planets, can just basically remedy that within seconds. So something has to happen. The Earth Planet Dragon Balls or the Namekian Dragon Balls have to be destroyed, and they have to rely on that. Somebody has to die, because I don't really see anybody dying. This is something that Dragon Ball Z had from the beginning, and it's not there. So those are my reasons why Dragon Ball Z is still living in the shadow of Dragon Ball Super is living in the shadow of Dragon Ball Z, and some of the reasons why it's not surpassing it as of yet. Don't get me wrong, Dragon Ball Super is still a really, really good anime, but these are just the flaws that I've seen, and if they can fix these, which they still probably can, it will still have a pretty huge impact, but not on the impact of Dragon Ball Z, simply for nostalgia factors and what it's done for everyone in the world. And also Dragon Ball Z influenced like this generation of bodybuilders and stuff like that, including myself. So anyway, tell me what you guys think in the comment section below. Like the video, subscribe for more. We'll be seeing you guys next time with some more discussions. And yeah, I'm really interested to seeing what you guys have to say in the comments. Peace.